that a lot of people ran into Mother Theophania could be anything in a 24-hour period, really. So she really dedicated herself to the service of this community, building this community and building relationships here. And she would stay kind of around the clock, depending on the month and the season and what was happening here. And it wouldn't be uncommon for somebody to come into the church after hours to pray. You'd find Mother Theophania here getting the candles ready, polishing the silver, cooking a meal, making cookies. So it wasn't really a surprise to find her here at 2 o'clock in the morning. And she would gladly set down whatever project she had. She would talk with anybody that walked in, and she was happy to talk for 2, 3, 4 hours. And then when you left the church, she went back and picked up her project and worked probably until 5 o'clock in the morning to get done whatever project she had. So just her dedication to building this community is really incredible, and I know it's really touched a lot of people. So I'll go ahead and open up the floor at this point for anybody that wants to come up and share any stories.
We would come over to the church, sometimes it would be there a little later, and she would be exhausted, especially during the Christmas family season. And I would ask her, what can I get for you? And she would ask for some peach snapple. That's all you need? She's like, yes. So I'd walk over to the CVS, I would get peach snapple, and then we would come over the next day. And it was another peach snapple miracle, because she was completely wiped out, could not do anything. And she would down 3 peach snapples and work for 6 more hours. It was awesome. And another thing is we had done random visits at the hospital. One of the things that I just thought of this morning, one time we were visiting her at the hospital, and she was watching In Search of Bigfoot, for 4 hours solid. Episode after episode after episode. And then another time we were there, and she was watching a thing on the Loch Ness Monster, and so I just figured, as she's passed all of those mysteries, she knows where Bigfoot is. She knows where Loch Ness is. It's all been revealed.
I'm swimming.
Hence the peach snapple right
Yeah,
here.
we got plenty of peach snapple.
Peach snapple is delicious. So one thing I really liked about Mother Theophania was that she always had a sense of humor, even into her last days. Well, I wasn't there her last days, so I don't know. But up very close to her last days, she was still cracking jokes and smiling and watching TV. And no matter how much she was suffering or in pain, which was very inspiring to me because it's very easy to get depressed. And I feel like if she was depressed, she kind of hid that from people and always was happy to see anyone who came. I also thought it was very unique that she was so open to watching things, because I got to have a lot of movie nights with her, watching action shows. I watched how people installed fish tanks at her hospital, and cooking shows at the hospital. So she never, I feel like she always kept herself busy. And she kind of, don't be mad at me if I say this, but she kind of worked herself to death. But I think that's also very interesting that she did that because she was so selfless. So I don't know, I think that was a very special quality of her, just always working and staying positive. Anyone else?
Gosh, I'm not sure what stories to share. I can't even imagine how much I will miss her, how much I miss her already. And it's been so wonderful to spend the last, few days together with her. I was certainly graced by her presence. The last couple of days everybody left and I was there, I was leaving, and we had a very, very serious, very special moment. And I was looking at her in the eyes, and she was looking at me, and we were talking, and we had a very serious conversation. And she told me, she said, I don't know why I'm still here. I'm ready, and I'm so sorry I'm still here, that you're having to take care of me. And I just thought, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? This is finally grace that I'm able to experience. You have always been taking care of everyone, and now it's our turn that we finally get. This is just amazing. So I thank her for that. And she said, she looked at me in the eyes and she said, Anya, what a beautiful name. Now this is after a few days of delirium on my part. I don't know how many nights I wasn't sleeping So I was kind of a little out of it, and she looked at me in the eye and she said, Anya, what a beautiful name. And I said, thank you. I was named after the Mother of God, right? And she goes, you were? No, this is Thursday. This is the night before she passed away, right? So she goes, you were? I said, yes. And I go, I mean, the Mother of God. And she just looked at me. She gave me the most embarrassing look. She goes, child.
What did she say?
Child.
With her, oh, child, what am I going to do with you? And I thought, oh my goodness, I've confused poor Mother Theophania even more, But she was so gracious. She was so kind to me. But, yeah, and another interesting, funny story. It was, I don't know, Tuesday night, I can't remember. And Lori and I were there long into the wee hours, and she was completely out. At this point, she was, breathing really deeply, sleeping. You could hear really kind of a snoring, So she was really deep into the sleep. And Lori and I at this point were kind of Googling the last stages of life, just to see what can we expect, what she's experiencing right now. Is it normal? Where is it in the process? And we came to a very interesting article, and part of it was that it talked about be very mindful of what you say in the environment of the dying person, because yes, they can hear you, but the article also talked about how the feeling. They can feel you, so that it even went as far as to say, be very careful and mindful of what you think about while you're in the presence of the dying person, because they are possibly operating on a higher consciousness, and they could possibly feel what you're thinking and what you're feeling, and it's very important that we put them, in a more positive environment. And as I'm reading these things, and like I said, she was snoring really hard. She goes, it's the last thing to go. Out of nowhere. And Lori and I were like, what is the last thing to go? And she goes, I can hear you. Hearing is the last thing to go. So, Mother Theophania was, I don't know, I think we'll feel her presence for many, many, many years to come, and she has touched us all. Her standards for food are impeccable. We can never impress her with anything like that, no matter how expensive or how, high-end it is. And she just had so much love for everyone, and she was so sincere, and she wasn't afraid to criticize any of us at any point, which was wonderful. And I will miss all of it.
Thank you.
So, as everyone is aware, Mother Theophania, or most everyone should be aware, Mother Theophania was the one who gave me my dog Pumpkin. And it has been, so she was there when Pumpkin was a little baby and running all over the place, and for a while I wasn't exactly sure if Pumpkin liked me better or Mother Theophania better. I'm like, yeah, this is not going to happen. Pumpkin's my dog. She's going to like me best. We're going to make sure this happens. And then, but then it was like a couple of months later, she was convincing me, she was like, well, I was the one who came up with Pumpkin's name. I'm like, no. Like, you like the name, but you didn't come up with it. No. But then I moved out, and we didn't see her a whole lot. But I would take her to visit her every once in a while, and Pumpkin could not be more ecstatic. I think Pumpkin has 3 favorite people in the world, and she was definitely one of them. And it was no matter how long it had been, she'd just seen her, she was always ecstatic. She wanted to go up and give her kisses. I've given her a bad habit of wanting to lick me on the face, and she thinks like to do that to everyone else. For the longest time, Mother Theophania would not let her lick her on the face. And every time Pumpkin would sneak one in, I would give her a high five, and she'd high five me. So it was our little game. But then when she got into the hospital and she got more sick, she didn't care anymore. She wanted her to. And and Pumpkin was more than happy to oblige. But the dog that she gave me, in a way, Pumpkin was able to give back to her in her last couple of days. Because it amazed me. Pumpkin is such a trooper. I wish that she could have been here today to say goodbye, but she'd had too much the last couple of days. I was not, I could just know. But anyways, it did not matter what time of day I took her. I took her with me every time I went to go visit her. It didn't matter what time of day. We were there until 2 o'clock in the morning one time. And she would make sure that she was touching Mother Theophania in some way, like her back, or she was laying across her leg, and she was like trying to comfort her. Like she wanted to let her know that she was there. And it touched me, because I would go home and she would sleep. It would wear her out completely. But she'd be more than happy to go back the next day. And the last time she saw her, she was sleeping, we were both sleeping peacefully. And it was Thursday night. I was getting ready to leave. Pumpkin was sleeping peacefully. I was like, wait till she wakes up. All of a sudden, Pumpkin got up, looked at me, went up from the end of the bed to her head, gave her kisses, and just kind of rested her head across her shoulder.
Oh.
I'm convinced it was Pumpkin's way of saying goodbye.
Yeah.
Because she didn't get another chance to. I didn't get to see her. And then last night, I got home really late after being here, after everything had happened last night. And Pumpkin picked up her favorite toy, and she was just walking out of the room crying. I'm convinced she's just,
Yeah.
it's like, so, Pumpkin, I am convinced that even though Mother Theophania is gone now, I will, every time I look at Pumpkin, I'll remember her, and it's just the best remembrance. It was the best gift she could have ever given me, and
Yeah.
I'm just so happy. Pumpkin is just a reminder of just how great of a person she was.
Theophania, some people probably know this, but she was actually survived by, I think, 5 great-grandnieces or niece and nephews, and her sister had several children, and then her sister's children had children. And so I thought that was very neat because she still has family, and her sister came on a Saturday to visit her, and they kind of look alike. So even though Mother Theophania is gone, she doesn't have kids, she still has family around. So. We are programming.
Last night with Father Stephen and with Mary Drupé this afternoon, one of the last times that I saw Mother Theophania, I told her that she was the Peter Pan of our church. And she looked at me strange and said, "What are you talking about?" I said, "Well, you took care of all of the lost boys." And, looking around tonight, I see a couple of Mother Theophania's lost boys. And, generally and lost girls certainly, but we've, a lot of us, with her help, have turned the corner and turned it around. And one of my favorite memories of being with Mother Theophania when I was at my worst, at my lowest point, and I had, you all remember, I had that little sports car, and she would go everywhere with me, just to be with me. And here I'd be 6 feet 2 inches tall with a cigar in my mouth, listening to rock and roll. Here's Mother Theophania sitting in the passenger seat, and the looks that we got when we went around town together. It was something else. Or walk into a restaurant together and there are these looks, you know, and she put up with an awful lot of my nonsense, more than she ever should have, and it's going to be really, really tough. So.
Martin, my friend you don't know.
I owe a great debt to Mother Theophania for taking in my girls when I wasn't here. They both lived with her at some time. And, we once butted heads over toilet paper. She wanted it to be out on the top of the toilet looking pretty, and I wanted paper towels or something under it because the toilet paper wasn't covered. And I'm into hygiene and health, and she was into aesthetics, and we butted heads, and she goes, "I'm not backing down in this war," and I go, "You won't win!" But she forgave me. She very graciously forgave me. And just in case anybody's wondering, we're totally reconciled over that matter. And I did let her know how much I appreciate that. She looked out for my little bambinas. Anyway, that's all I have to say. Anybody else?
Mother Theophania and I had lots of run-ins over certain things that were being done in the church, and you know, many of us that got to know her know that she had a very strong will, and you know, to put it mildly. And anybody that knows me pretty well, they probably would say the same. And it's not something that I'm always very proud of, or you know, it's one of those weaknesses that I work on, you know, to not be that way, to not be irreconcilable, you know, to be understanding and to endure the, you know, differences of opinion, difference of ideas, and to do that in a God-pleasing way, so that it's uplifting. And so Mother Theophania and I, many times about things that we both felt very passionately about, would butt heads. And I remember many times I would offend her to a point where she was very hurt, very, you know, deeply wounded, and it really caused me to examine myself much more deeply and to try to see what it was in me that I was doing. You know, she was a very sensitive soul, and so it was very reflective for me, you know, and she wouldn't allow it to be forgotten. So that it caused me a greater reflection in my life. It caused me to find out, you know, what it would take to be able to get her to forgive me, and to try to the best of my ability to overcome that tendency, and to be in harmony with her, and to love her. You know, it's sometimes it's hard to love somebody that's very much like you. Or has the same, you know, tendency, and you see, you know, because it's so graphic, this tendency becomes magnified because you're both involved in it. But I truly say, and I'm sorry that I didn't do better in our relationship. That's one of the things that I go away from this. And I know I need to continue in this way, and to continue to work on loving and forgiving and being sensitive and kind and compassionate, and not stubborn and willful. And I really appreciate Mother very much, and all that she brought to our church. You know, so many times, she would be, as Nick said, she would be completely exhausted, to the point where you would look at her and you go, "Mother, you know, this is not realistic. You have to sit down. You have to, you know, take a break or something." But she would not. You know, and she would continue that effort, and in many ways, you know, it was like her ascetic practice. Her ascetic practice was to fulfill, to the best of her ability, the obligations that she felt were necessary. And so many times she was there in the services, there doing the things that needed to be done to prepare the church, there making the meals. You know, many of the common meals she would be very involved with, and even up to the point where she was not able to function in the capacity that she really wanted to be able to. And you could see that it was a very difficult cross for her to bear. And I would like to just share how much love that she brought, how much goodness and love, despite, you know, all of her failings that sometimes would be very, very obvious, you know, in certain ways. But we share this with each other. We endure each other. We love each other despite our weaknesses, despite our failings. And that transforms all of us, transforms the whole church. When we can endure and be compassionate and well-disposed. And we're so fortunate to have each other, to have those who have dedicated themselves to the degree that Mother Theophania did to the church, to be a small icon for us as an inspiration. I'm very thankful for that she was with us as long as she was. And I only regret that I didn't take more opportunities to ask her forgiveness for my bullheadedness.
For about a year, I was given the task, thanks to Father Stephen, picking Mother Theophania up from her night job on Sunday mornings at 7 a.m. and driving her home, taking her through McDonald's, making sure she had her breakfast. And the reason I want to mention it is that I had the privilege of getting to be with the Mother Theophania, who was so tired that she was serene and peaceful and wise. And I would always take the opportunity to ask her about various aspects of Orthodox spirituality, and she always gave me beautiful, thoughtful responses. She had a wealth of knowledge, way past the food thing and all the other gifts she had. She had a real knowledge of the ways of Orthodoxy. And I just want to share with you that I got to know a side of her that in those early mornings that may have not been seen too often, and was a real privilege to have in my life for that year. So thank her. And I want to bring up one last thing. She would always give me a blessing as she went into her apartment. Anybody remember what her blessing was?
Go with the angels.
Go with the angels. And we can say that to her. Go with the angels. Thank you.
Mother Theophania helped me become Orthodox. That's why I chose her to be my godmother. She really helped me in many ways. Especially, she's very good at listening and giving good advice. I also learned from her flower arranging, the basics of decorating guns, especially feast days, especially the mission feast of the Minor Goddess, where she's the one who taught me how to arrange the flowers. I just give her all the credit. So I'm really gonna miss her a lot. I love her.
Mother Theophania, well, when I came to live at her house, I was on probation, so I would come here and cook, and she taught me how to cook. She taught me how to cook, and she taught me how to wear my pajamas to bed and not just sleep in the clothes I wear today. She let me watch, she had tons of DVDs, and she let me watch Lion King or a cartoon. She taught me to be strict, with male figures, and to be a good girl and not tempt men and not be alone with a man and just be respectable. And we would walk to Kroger's just down there and get groceries and bring here and cook. And that's when I was smoking, and she had to watch me. And sometimes I would like sneak out at night and smoke when I shouldn't. And I feel bad about that. But then I would clean her cabinet and wash all the dishes while she was asleep. And every night she'd make my bed on the couch, and then she would sprinkle the room with holy water instead of hers. And
All the night up.
she just made me feel like part of the community here in Erin, and just like I found the side of me that I hadn't known. Like, yeah. So, anyways, I'll miss her.
Bonnie was one of the people who bends the world to her will. And being a nun, of course, her way of doing it was prayer. My husband, Anthony, is one of the several young folks that she adopted. She's told him she thinks of him like a son. And so over the years, the past, I don't know how many years, there's been a number of things she's prayed for him. He was in nursing school, which is a difficult experience. She prayed for him. He's been a nurse for a couple years now. And she wanted him to meet a nice girl. Well, I don't know about the nice part, but here. She wanted grandchildren. Hi. A couple weeks ago, we went to her and said, we're trying to buy a house. We found it's beautiful. There's room for a garden. We'd love it. Our offer's been accepted, but you have to pray for us. The house is about to fall through. The appraisal came back 10% low. We go away. Of course, she prays for us. We come back 2 days later and say, the appraiser called back. It was all a mistake. Everything's on. And so the past few days, whenever we went to visit her, we were able to say, and this is the news with the house, and this is this. And I was looking around the other day and realized that, I think for both of us, for the first time, everything we could possibly want to pray for, it's all there. Beautiful baby, a house to raise her in, strong community. So all the things Mother Theophania has been praying for, they came true.
Share just a couple of things about the interior struggle that she went through in the midst of all of these things that we've been hearing about, because I was going to all these doctor visits and spending time with her, I got to hear about from when her father died when she was 7 and her mother was bedridden, and she got the grocery money and had to walk across the Bronx by herself at 7 years old with the money and buy the groceries and come back and face whoever she happened to face along the way. And to the abuse that she suffered in her youth, the suicidal thoughts that were always with her. In the midst of all of these things that we've heard about, she had this door that she had to keep closed of darkness that she dealt with continuously. And that didn't deter her. And so I mention this only to encourage us to say whatever it is that you experience in your own life interiorly that nobody knows about, she has experienced worse. Plus the operations, plus the insults to the body, plus forcing her body the way that she did, that we all saw her do, and say, Mother, you have to stop and go home. And she would say, yes, just a minute. And you'll be here. Hours later, she's still going, and then she'll collapse for 3 days. It was quite unreasonable. As one said, work yourself to death, but also to life. And so it was a way of dealing with the interior struggle that she faced as a person. She God made it very clear to her early on that suicide was not acceptable. She may not do that. And so she kept that door closed throughout, no matter what experience she might have, the extent of the depression that she experienced. She would turn to the Theotokos and say, I need your help. And the Theotokos always helped. And so in all of these things that people have experienced of her praying for them, it wasn't her that in the strength of her ability or her access to God, it was her going to the Theotokos saying, I can't do anything. I need your help. for me, for this person, for that person. Again and again, she would bring herself and the needs of other people to the Theotokos for help. And this is where the strength for our community, for her, for the people that she met, she would take people into herself, not just into her home, but she would take them on in a very personal way and would pray for them and give up her life to them for the sake of the healing that could take place from God. And so that spirit, I thought one of the best things she said was I don't conceive of heaven as a place to just be there and do nothing. She is going to be helping out with her prayers, and she'll be around in our memories in any other way. So, any other thoughts from anyone?
Father, what was her saying about when someone asks something of you?
That when someone asks something of you, God is asking. So open up to His love and say yes. Okay, let's give thanks for the meal, and then we'll proceed to Vesper to Vigil.